Amazing cell phone. Should be naming all the same tower.
Not time yet, because I'm trying to get my Zoom going, or actually Brad is, so he's about ready. Not time.
All right, yeah. This time we'll have a word for the pledge of flag.
Thank you for the day, for the blessings of this country. We pray for our country. We're in serious time, just pray that you will work. Lord, be with us during this meeting, and I, in Jesus' name, we ask, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You got a chance to look over the minutes, need a motion?
I'll make, go ahead.
I'll second or make it. Yeah, I'll make it. Okay.
Okay, I'll second.
Ready for the vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Votes 3-0. Claims 1 through 124, as well as payroll claims.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Ready for the vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Votes 3-0. We've got a Perry Estates.
Yes, sir.
Purchase a strip of property not owned by anyone at this time. Where's that?
Right.
You can come up here and sit if you like.
I brought a copy of the plats, would that be helpful?
Sure would.
On a customer's AM. My car broke down and I got hamburger juice all over me. But I dressed up for you. This, I got this from you people. Yes, sir. You need one in?
No, I think I have one already.
Oh, okay. The house, I've circled that house there on where the road turns to the right. That's our home, my daughter's actually. And the garage behind it is the property. What I'm asking for is where I've drawn that black line. I wanted to own that property between our boundary line and the corner. Years and years ago, apparently, where the yellow dotted line going above Worth Street flat, that apparently was a road that circled around and went down that little street in the back. And so what I'm trying to accomplish is to get the city to allow me that portion to the green arrow. And the green arrow north is owned by the railroad. And I've written them, but I haven't heard back from them. And so I don't want to own that little bitty corner there. I don't want to own that unless I can have the property in between the two.
Is this, where's this at? Is this so?
Yes, sir.
Is this Lee's?
Yeah, she's my daughter.
Okay. Okay. Know that now.
Yeah. It was that old gas station, you know, so many years ago. This, if you go down here, you go right to 63 Cayuga, and this will take you right into Kingman in the house.
Yeah, that's River Road there. I think.
Yeah.
Our Coffin Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Well, my request is
Who
to,
owns it now? You say nobody owns it.
I don't think, yeah, nobody owns that. The city, the railroad apparently owns this little corner right here. But I'm not in negotiation, just a little bit right here. But I really have to get this before I even want to talk to them about that. I have written them, but that's all I've done.
This is like a question, you need to determine.
Yeah, I don't, commissioners have no authority over this land, do they? I don't even. Well, I'm not 100% sure what you're after here, but are you asking somebody to vacate this alley
What I'm asking for is my property ends right here.
on the red?
Yeah, and I want to buy this or big borrow or steal it, but I'd like to own this piece of property.
Okay. And you don't have any idea who owns it?
Nobody does. It belongs to the county. The reason I'm here with you gentlemen is because the ladies on both ends of you have told me to be here. This is-
Okay, you went to the assessor, you talked to.
Yeah, I went to the assessor, and I went, to
Terry.
Linda, what's?
You talked to Terry in this,
Yeah.
in the auditor's office.
Yeah, and then I talked to the lady over here, that's where I got the maps, and here I am.
I think we've had this happen before.
Same area, I mean,
So I don't know where it was at. I don't, but I mean, I think I remember selling.
we have Roger, attorney look into it maybe, or? And I don't think.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, if you could look
You
into.
can take it under advisement and give us time to figure out. who
Oh, yeah,
owns
yeah,
it.
yeah. And how we could transfer it, how if it can be done, you know, get a description or whatever.
Good luck with the railroad, yeah.
Willie, I don't know if you know him by Willie, but Willie has a lot of property in there and has that little beautiful bar there in. He says that the railroad has already vacated some of the property he owns. But my understanding was, and all the contact I have made was that they still own that property and they're paying tax on it. And they want to get rid of it. Of course, I just wanted probably 3% of that bundle that they have. People behind me, I'm here simply because my daughter owns a house that was vacant. I was in Florida and I came here to put a driveway in, so I'm really.
Yeah. Can you, you think you can find something
Yeah.
by the next meeting?
Yeah, but what's this town called?
This is Silverwood. There's 19, I think there's 19 people there. I have them all on my committee for mayor. I'm kidding.
You're shooing then.
Well, that was my plan.
Yeah.
Then I was going to, as mayor of the county, I was going to approach you.
Got it.
234, 234, it swings around the cross, all back
It
here.
doesn't matter, it's in the right middle of nowhere. We have to go towards town to hunt. But anyhow, is that everything that I can do?
I think so.
I believe so.
No begging or anything today? Then
Not at all.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much.
thank you, Terry.
I really appreciate you folks and have a wonderful day.
Absolutely.
I'm getting up. Goodbye.
Okay, we got the acknowledgement of the bank reconciliation monthly affairs report. August 31st, 2020.
I'll make one.
I'll second.
Ready to vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 3-0. Mark Harebrant, this is on and rest of.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. For the record, my name is Mark Harebrant. I'm a senior account executive with Amoresco. You may remember me from last year. When we were here, we did a comprehensive study at the courthouse. And we presented back in November. And during that time, when we did the study, we set out what was called data loggers to understand what the temperatures were, the humidity in each room, carbon dioxide levels, when lights went on, when they went off, and so forth, really to get a good understanding and analysis of your facility. Our purpose tonight is to give you an update from what we found during the winter months of operation, because when we did our study, all of that was during the cooling season, during the summer. And so we've had a whole winter to get a good understanding and analysis of the building and where there might be some opportunities. And so we're going to recap a little bit about the 2019 meeting, talk to you a little bit about our site assessment and what we found during the winter months, what your opportunities are, and then what my next steps might be if you decide to move forward with the study. I'm going to ask you to then to flip and turn to page 5. And this is just, I'm not going to hammer on this too much, just a little bit about Ameresco. We're the largest energy services company in the country. We've got offices in Indianapolis is where we're out of. But one thing that we've done is we have a very in-depth knowledge of Indiana courthouses. We've done a lot of historical buildings as well as jails, and really in the county market, we've done over 38 different counties. So we're used to working in courthouses that are occupied to get these types of things done. Some of our notable projects, I've listed some of those below just recently that we've done. I will tell you, today I was in Wells County, I was in Grant County, I was in Huntington County, and Brad Driver, our project development engineer, was in White County. So we've been all over the state pretty much today, but some of the organizations you see were very highly involved in the Indiana Association of County Commissioners, the AIC, the Sheriff's Association, as well as I sit on the Transportation Committee at NACO, National City or National Counties. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it over to Brad Driver, who is a project developer, have him talk to you a little bit about the analysis and what he found during the winter months.
My page numbers are not numbered, so I apologize, but after page 5, Mark, so page 6, just a little bit of a recap from when we came back and talked to you guys back in November of 2019. We shared with you the utility analysis that we've done on your utilities. And I think we pointed out to you then that obviously you guys do not spend a lot in utilities for your building here, right? And I think as there was some conversations going on with us and between us and you guys that, we had talked about, it was more of a comfort issue. It was more about the aging of your infrastructure for your HVAC system within the courthouse. And so at that time, as Mark kind of touched on, we had some data logging devices that we put out back in August and part of September of last year, kind of see what was going on within the building as far as your air conditioning load. And at that time, we had talked to you all about the possibility of maybe coming back in the wintertime to really see what was going on in your heating system. And so we were given the authority to go ahead and do that. And in February, around the first part of February, I came back out here and we deployed data loggers again throughout the building, as well as we put some data logging devices on your 2 steam boilers downstairs. And we let that equipment run. I think I came back out the first part of May. Actually, once your courthouse had opened back up to the public, I came back out to retrieve that information and started evaluating it throughout the summer. And one of the things that we identified is that your steam boilers were actually short cycling quite a bit. And when your steam boilers short cycle quite a bit, it's a sign that it's possible that equipment is oversized for the condition of the building. And then the other situation that comes up, that your maintenance man, Rick, right, was telling me that there had been some condensation occurring within your chimney. And the way that your system is designed out there is with these boilers being oversized, that chimney was designed for a coal-fired chimney years ago, because obviously the courthouse was heated with coal. And the size and the design of that chimney is designed for coal-fired equipment that burns pretty hot. And obviously this was probably, I don't know how the sizing was back then, but so, you guys have since then, obviously in the past 15, 20 years, you've upgraded windows, you've got double pane windows, you've done some things around the courthouse. So, what happens when those boilers down there being oversized, with them short cycling, is that stack heats up in that chimney, heats up, and then the boiler will shut itself back off, and it'll cool back down again, come back on, heat back up, cool back off. And what happens is that chimney's cooling on the inside and you're getting condensation in there. And I believe last year when I was out here in November, you guys, or last summer, that you guys had mentioned to me about you had made some repairs to that chimney inside because it was leaking. And it's my understanding that leaking has started back up again. Is that correct?
I believe there's a transfer of moisture migrating through.
Yeah. Just because of the age of that brick that's on the inside, and I don't think that you guys have had a camera run down through there to inspect that brick on the inside? Okay. We work with different companies that allow us to be able to come in, because usually anytime that we start touching a heating system in a building, whatever size it is, especially if it has a long flue system, we typically like to come in, if we're going to put some kind of new piece of equipment in there, it's kind of like one of those things, once we do something, guess who owns that chimney, right? So we always like to have that chimney inspected by a chimney inspection company, be able to really get, and they stick a video down inside there, and we're able to really get an idea of what's going on down there within the chimney system. So, anyway, so we were able to kind of see that through our data logging about the equipment short cycling. We were also able to identify the temperatures throughout the building, and we were able to see that obviously there's no setback in the building, obviously with the systems on the weekend, when the building's unoccupied, temperatures just holding constant at 73, 74 degrees all weekend long, boiler system sitting there firing on and off. And even on the colder days of the year, we actually went back around February 14th, we recorded some pretty low temperatures outside, about 5 degrees outside, and we were able to track about how long that boiler ran that day. And the amazing part is that the runtime on that boiler, how much it ran during that part versus what it takes just to kind of keep that boiler what they call banked, meaning that it's at temperature on a day that we didn't have a lot of warmth or more warmth outside, and we're able to actually kind of see how much gas usage you were able to use on those boilers that day. And so it's kind of amazing to kind of see what it does on a coldest day, what it does on a not so cold day. But just to be able to keep a steam system in operation is kind of a waste. Most steam boilers nowadays in operation are used for processing plants, industrial plants, someplace like Red Gold Tomato over in Indianapolis. I mean, they have a process plant over there, right? And Dave's involved up there at helping them with some issues up there. But you know, they need boilers to operate their processing plant. So, you know, your guys' boiler systems here, your steam piping was installed 84 years ago. Your radiators were installed 84 years ago. I realize that your boilers were replaced in 2003,
No,
but I was
83. 83.
1983 on the boilers outside? Okay, I'm not, some of the information that I took off of them had a 2003 date code on it, but I could be wrong.
Like I was under the understanding they were close to 40 years old.
The
The boilers yourself.
Yeah.
So they're not that old.
I helped put them in.
Oh, you did?
I worked for a guy who had a wrecker and take the old ones out.
In 03?
Skyler Allen, no.
In 83?
In
83, okay.
That's what I said.
Okay.
Pontiac goes, they'll ship them
Okay.
to the wrecker. To set over the pit and pick them up and
Okay,
put them in.
well, I stand corrected,
Piece by
because
piece.
the date code that I saw on that burner down there looked like it was an 03, so maybe, unless the
The
burner.
parts could have been replaced.
Yeah, I stand corrected on
Yeah,
that, so, but anyway, obviously, the piping in here, 84 years old, radiators, 84 years old. So obviously, there's just some aging of the equipment. And then some of the AC equipment in your building that you guys have, some of it dates back to 1989, some of it dates back to 1991. And then I know that you've recently put in some mini split systems that are, you know, a year old, 2 years old, something like that. I know that your 911 center has some mini splits. I believe the prosecutor's office downstairs, you've added a new system down there. So, but anyway, so it's just that, you know, during the size assessment, it gave us an idea of what was going on. You know, as far as ventilation in your building,
I know that you've got the 10-ton rooftop unit that was put in, I believe, in 2018, does that sound right? Did you guys put the one for the lobby unit, was that 2018?
Pretty close.
Close around there. And I don't know for sure if that was there to maybe address the issues with the murals, right? With the humidity issues and temperature issues. But I'm assuming that they've also maybe tried to address minimum ventilation for the building. Because obviously your systems within the building, you do not really have per se in all the rooms, minimum ventilation to be able to be brought in. I realize you have operable windows. I realize people can open a window if they think they need to get fresh air in the building. But a building your size, a 30,000 square foot building your size, really needs to have proper mechanical ventilation brought into it. And so I don't know yet if some more studies would have to be done to see if that 10-ton rooftop was intended to try to bring in minimum ventilation. But I would say it's probably not bringing in the required amount. And even if you do bring in the minimum amount into the building, it's not getting into the proper rooms and spaces. Maybe, somebody down in the basement, all the way down there, EM office, or somebody over here in somebody else's office on this side. So there's no minimum outside air. I know the courtroom units, I've been back I crawled back into the attic spaces. And I know that those twin units back in there for the air conditioning on the courtroom, which was air conditioned in 1989, I know none of that equipment has minimum ventilation coming in for it either. So that's one of the things that would probably need to be addressed, especially now with the pandemic going on and ASHRAE standards. Our business is kind of guided by ASHRAE standards in the United States. And ASHRAE is saying right now that with what's going on, that really they should be doing a pre and post purge on buildings 2 hours before and 2 hours after to try to get those buildings purged out. And obviously without any kind of mechanical ventilation coming in, such as minimum outside air, it's going to be hard to be able to accomplish that.
Do you think that may have an effect on the murals themselves by having that done, that purging?
As long as it's conditioned air, which I think that's probably why they decided to put that 10-ton rooftop unit in for you guys, is to try to make sure that you've got the proper conditioned air within your, I guess they call that the lobby area. Because they did add those electronic thermostat to be able to do all the humidity control. And so I know that they do have humidity settings that they're trying to dehumidify to keep your murals at the proper temperature. But as far as bringing, so they are trying to bring in something because that unit does have outside air on it. I just don't know how much outside air that they're trying to bring in with that unit. But yes, if you're bringing in unconditioned air, you're bringing in humidity, obviously that's going to have an effect on your murals. So I would assume that's probably why they put that system in. Are you having a problem with your murals?
The only problem we're having is in the corner where the chimney is.
Okay,
Getting the moisture migration
Yeah.
from, but I don't think,
okay.
they're pretty stable.
And I don't know what kind of system you had in there before. I
It
do
was a
know that-
no ash unit, but there wasn't taking, you didn't have that return of air, and it was just blowing
Right.
air in the building,
And-
so.
So it was a DOAS unit that was up there before they put that rooftop unit in there? Okay. And so you don't know where the exhaust air, the air you were bringing into the building, you don't know how it was getting out?
Yeah, going out the front door.
Or out the front door, or cracks in the window, crack or gap over here?
Yeah,
So,
it was-
Okay,
It was pressurizing the building.
okay, so you were over pressurizing the building.
What it was
Yeah.
doing.
And I'm sure that probably had an effect on those murals at that time.
Very well could,
So,
yeah.
okay. But was that piece of equipment air conditioned or heated? I'm assuming it was heated, right?
Both,
Okay, so it did have cooling on it as well. Yeah, okay.
I think it put it in 05.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't that old,
And that's not very,
but it had a compressor that went out of it.
okay.
It had some issues.
Okay. Well, let me move on to the next page. The next page just kind of shows some of the trending data that we were able to gather from, that I talked about. Most of this was just our temperature data logging devices, just kind of showing that there was constant temperatures throughout the building. So the next page, I think it'd be page 7, 8, maybe page 8. We've just come up with some opportunity. We see some opportunities for you guys here in the building if you want to address your HVAC system over a long-term period of time. We've got 3 different alternatives that we put together, and we've come up with some budget investment ranges for you as well. Alternative A, and these by no means are, you know, you can do what you want to do. Alternative A is to say, you know, I'm gonna leave the existing radiators. We really like the steam system in here. We really like the radiators. It kind of adds a nostalgia to the courthouse, which I agree it does. But I've got to do something with those boilers down there. I've got to get some high efficiency steam burners on those to be able to control that system properly. You know, being able to have a high efficiency steam burner, a burner on there for that steam boiler that's able to monitor the leaving flue gas going up the chimney. To be able, and I would also recommend installing a new venting system up through that existing chimney. But having a system that's able to monitor the leaving temperature of that flue gas so that we can make sure that we're not condensing within that large stack. And then being able to modulate that burner so you don't get a lot of on-off like you're getting right now. So you can modulate that burner down to match the load in the building, and putting some control system in the building that's being able to communicate back to the boiler management system to be able to tell it truly what's going on in the building and how much heat do we really need in the building, to be able to modulate that system down, to be able to control and only add the amount of gas or heat to that system that's really needed throughout the building. So, you know, I put some plus and minuses there. I mean, if you keep the existing steam system, obviously a plus is, you know, you get a new high efficiency steam boiler. You get some zone controls. There's some zoning that you can do in here to automate it. It would obviously reduce the natural gas usage. The negative side is that you still have 80-year-old existing piping and radiators throughout the building. At some point in time, that piping is going to start letting go. And then just the lack of the lack of proper control in the radiators. Even though we can do some zoning up in the attic where that header goes up, you still have on your radiators, you know, you still got some manual valves. I know that Rick's been going around putting some self-regulating control valves on there, but those are still a dial that's set between 1 and 10. And, you know, is somebody remembering I'm leaving on the weekend, I can turn that back? Probably not. And we saw that with the data loggers, that it's not happening, right? So, you know, somebody leaving that they come in on a Friday that was maybe a cold day and they turned that up to 7 or 8 that morning. And they walked out of the building that weekend, that poor radiator sitting there saying, man, I'm calling for heat, I'm calling for heat, I'm calling for heat. And there's that boiler down there having to run just to operate to produce that amount of steam. The other thing in alternative A is that, you know, with your older split systems for your air conditioning that you have throughout the building, with the 1989, some of them 1991, obviously they're getting some age on those as well. So looking to upgrade those to some new split systems. There are high efficiency split systems out there on the market right now. The indoor units can have you've probably heard this term, a variable speed fan on it, to be able to match the speed of the fan based on, again, what's really needed in the space for summer cooling. So obviously replacing and upgrading those, and there's an investment range on that from about $653,000 up to about $719,000. So that's alternative A. So alternative B is, if you really like having these nice radiators, we could replace these radiators that go back into electric fan coil units that actually have fans on them. They've got filtering systems on them. Filters can have bipolar ionization added. That's probably a term that you've all heard here lately as well. So bipolar ionization is just an ionization cell that actually creates that ozone, and as the air is coming across it, it's able to help eliminate some viruses, okay? It doesn't, you know, the question people say, does it kill coronavirus? No, it does not kill coronavirus. UV light kills coronavirus, but bipolar ionization, what it does, it attaches itself to viruses and basically makes those molecules larger. And then as that air comes back across that air filter catches that, and now you've been able to then trap it out of the air recirculation of the system, okay? Question? No, sorry. But alternative B would look to replace the steam system with a hot water system, with a hydronic system. Obviously, that's going to be some expense because unfortunately, we can't run that hydronic water through your existing steam piping. So some of the steam piping would be probably abandoned in place. Some of it would be removed. New hot water copper piping would be run into these fan coil units. And they would be typically around the perimeter of the building, similar to what your radiators are, but at least they've got fans on them, right? So now they're able to push that air across. You'd also have control with a control system. So now people could have an automatic control system that, you know, their thermostat that they could adjust within a range. And that system could be scheduled to go unoccupied during the weekend, during holidays, such what. And so you would have some reduced natural gas usage, obviously, because with that hot water system, we would be able to put in condensing high efficiency hot water boilers down there again. And again, new hot water high efficiency boilers, they have new flues run within inside that chimney as well. And then probably look at doing something obviously that we touched on before with your upgrading your cooling system. That system does carry quite a bit of a budget investment, especially since you've got to install and run new hot water piping. You got to have hot water pumps, you got to have an expansion tank, you got to have everything that kind of goes along with having a hydronic system. And that budget investment's about $1.9 to $2.1 million. Alternative C is one of those things that we talked about. I think we kind of touched on this before when we first met with you originally, and it's what we call a variable refrigerant flow system. So it's very similar to what you have like with your ductless split systems that you guys have installed down in the prosecutor's office and also in your 911 center. But what this system does instead, it's almost like a heat pump system, but it's able to move refrigerant around within the building, and you are able to have heating and cooling simultaneously, depending on who needs what in the building. So if you got some interior rooms or you got some other rooms that have a lot of people in them, like if a meeting room was in here, you get a large group in here, all of a sudden you need air conditioning. And I know that you guys are looking at trying to do some stuff downstairs to kind of move the commissioner's room down there. You get a large room down there. You could be in January, February, still needing cooling in there. The system would automatically cool, but in the other parts of the building, it could be heating at the same time. So variable refrigerant flow systems. We've done several of these in courthouses because it kind of makes sense. And we've been able to install them in some historic courthouses as well. But obviously it's a significant improvement in the ventilation and comfort system, the control system. Obviously there would be no natural gas anymore, right? But you would have some offset in electric usage, right? Because you know, everything's going to be run by electricity. The heat pump's going to be run by electricity. The indoor unit's going to be run. They've got units that could be what we call console units that they could be installed along the perimeter of the building. And we could also take advantage of the distributed air flow system that you have in the building still with your air conditioning systems. We could also convert those units over to these units, and then we'd still be able to get air distribution throughout the building. I think that's an important thing, trying to reutilize that and trying to see if you do need to provide minimum outside air into the building. I would say we would look at trying to use your distributed air system in the building and tie that minimum outside air into that, so that way we make sure that we're getting that throughout the spaces. Then the investment range on that system is about $768,000 to $845,000. The next page is just some possible funding streams. Obviously, doing a performance contract in the state of Indiana, it allows you to be able to take those projects, those capital projects out over 20 years. And this is obviously a system that does have a life cycle of 25 to 30 years. So it definitely falls underneath that performance contract legislation. With some possible funding mechanisms are obviously cash or bonds. I've got the CARES Act down there possibility, because if you look at trying to address some of your indoor air quality issues, I know that there are some customers out there that are starting to be able to look at those CARES Act. I realize that CARES Act dollars are supposed to expire at the end of December. Anything that you're trying to use CARES Act dollars is supposed to be installed, receipts are supposed to be turned in and turned back into the state, right? There is some rumors out there that may be extended. but nobody, I don't think nobody knows how long that may be extended to. So I don't know if
I
that's.
think they're gonna come out at the end of this week and extend it to sometime the end of March.
And then there's operation and maintenance savings that we just go along with having a newer system in the building. Obviously, you're not gonna have to have that many repairs. I do know that when we had our data loggers, on the boilers downstairs, I believe one of the burner motors had been, causing you guys some fits. I think the maintenance guy said, based on the data that we saw in the logging devices and quizzed Rick, he said that the burner motor had failed a couple of times and tripped the breaker or blown the fuse or something. He had to reset that system, so I know that there's something going on down there, at least with one of those that you might want to think about addressing before winter sets in. So, and then there's a one-time, hopefully the utilities continue to have some rebate dollars, and then there's obviously some rebate opportunities for you guys as well. So the next steps, Mark, you want to touch on the next steps?
Sure. If you look at the next steps page on page 13, you'll see that some of the ones that are check marked are ones that we've already addressed. The next step, if you would decide to move forward through this process, we do all of this at risk. This whole study that we've done, the county hasn't paid any money for any type of a study. I've worked for other firms where you usually will pay for a study, something like what we've done and what we know of your building, $60,000 or more, typically. We do it at risk. The next step would be what's called a public solicitation and advertisement, where you would put something in the newspaper. You'd get other providers that do this similar to what we do. You get a proposal that looks something like this, a big 3-ring notebook with all kinds of details in there about your facility. Then once you would decide, you could make a selection based on their qualifications and information that they have in their proposal. Once you met once you have selected a firm, you met all the statutory requirements in the bidding process. So what you can do is, if you have local providers or any other mechanical contractors that you want to get involved in the process, you have that luxury of being able to get them involved, keep them on for maintenance and things like that. Then we would enter into what's called a project development agreement to complete all the engineering. Just throwing a figure out, it may be $40,000. And all that is that's telling you that we're gonna go out, we're gonna get bids just like a general contractor does, do all the analysis, come back. The beauty of this is when we do a project, you don't have any change orders. We take all the construction risk. And so when we do this, that is what your price is when we are able to get this. We build the project while your people are still in the building and coordinate with them. As Brad said, we already had a discussion with our QW about what could be used for CARES Act money. We're really good at dealing with the IFA and understanding exactly what can be done and what can't be done to try to utilize any of that money. If you're wanting to do some type of an expansion down there for social distancing for a bigger meeting. So with that, any questions that you have? I know that was a lot.
Yeah. But the thing with our boilers is, it's something that we should have done several years ago. We got one that leaks a little water to the warms up. But I know in your study, you were kind of surprised at how efficiently, money-wise, those old 37-year-old boilers kept our courthouse warm. When you figure $100 a day, I think was.
Well, you spend about 30, as far as natural gas, what was it? The natural gas, you spent about $10,000, so. Look at that.
36. 912, yeah. We talked to the, Don talked to the council about revamping the old boilers. Taking apart these segment and resealing them and putting new controls in them for 12-15% on your rates in here. Jimmy Lee, you got any
Big project.
comment?
It's a big project.
What's that?
It's a big project.
Th-
This is gonna be,
Yeah.
it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's gonna
a big
be-
project.
I would think at the very least, we need to sit down with the council.
Yeah.
And run all this through, and it needs to be, the council needs to be on board, commissioners need to be on board.
The renovation downstairs is gonna be one project, and then you add this into it, and that's another big, way big project. So we gotta talk about it, no matter what.
Sure.
I see the benefits in all of what you said, I'm not meaning that in all, there's, you know, their study's been good, and agree with what I understand of it. So, and I know there's probably not outside air being circulated in here, because this building won't make it.
Yeah.
There's no returns in this room,
No,
it just comes out, and nothing taken away.
right. Keep the door open, right?
Right, well, not when we have a meeting, no.
Right.
They're usually pretty well closed up just for sound.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you're hearing here. So, I would say we're gonna have to talk about it.
Sure.
And we'll do it as soon as we can. I mean, you know, we're on a schedule, monthly meetings, just like these guys are.
We'd be open to talking to, you would invite us and to talk to anybody in the council, as well. Talk about what type of strategies could be used. Also, the CARES Act money, if you are looking at doing anything, you know, on that, time will be of essence, especially on that particular piece of it, because of the time frame that's involved in it. And going through that process to be able to utilize some of that CARES Act.
I mean, even if you guys had selected us today, right? I mean, let's say it went out and, but public solicitation it has to be on the street for 37 days before we can be selected for qualifications. I mean, there's no way I can meet a December 31st project for any kind of CARES Act. And even if Mark had talked about maybe March, there's still no way that our project in March could fit underneath your, right? So, you know, I put that out there just because that seems to be the
Well, we all
buzzword.
see it.
Yeah, exactly. That's because it's money you don't want to go to waste, right?
Right.
And if somebody's offering it to you, you might as well take it. So, but yeah.
Yeah, we understand that 100%. And I'm for preserving this building to the, you know, to the end of the street. I mean, it's,
Right.
you can't replace a building like that.
No,
And we all understand that, so.
Okay.
We appreciate the opportunity to provide this study to you.
Yeah, we appreciate you doing it. Absolutely. Thank you. All right, this time we'll go to department head reports. Rusty?
We opened 1,000, County Road 1,000 on Friday. We did have an incident where we did hit one of AT&T's lines, the 600 pair line, concrete fell on it, smashed it. The contractor that came out with it had exposed it. We all agreed that that was exposed, and we also agreed it was still in a dangerous spot because it was right on the foot. So whether they're gonna try to send us a bill on the damage or what, I don't know. They repaired it. We finished our project. We covered, they moved their line after the contract was done. I mean, our construction part was done. Road's open. It looks great down there. We're currently working on a incident on Sawmill, trying to get that drainage, get it opened up and ditched. Don sent me up on 1300. A man had called our office, he called Don, and I think he called you also, Frank, I can't think of his last name. Anyway, what had happened is the prior grader operator that was in that district went down and burned that road. But he burned it right over in everybody's drains. He just basically plugged the drainage. made a nice berm, nice edge, but he left his stuff right there, so the water collected. And if you got a wheel in it, it would actually jerk you right off the road. Well, while you and I were talking, Travis had sent the new grader guy up there who apparently got his blade in the corner and cleaned out that man's part, and then took the wheel and tracked it in, and he's got a good drain, and he came out and thanked the grader man. So that deal has been taken care of. The reason we are asking to transfer some money is, I saw coming up, is our roads aren't even. So when we did the community crossings, when you figure blacktop, there wasn't enough left in the humps and the hills and hollers of a blacktop when we covered them. So we went over on the amount of blacktop we used for the community crossings thing. So I think there's 2 to move it out of Culvert Pipe and 1 out of Hume Bridge coming up.
How much over did you get?
About 5,000. It looks like a little over 5,000, about 5,300. So that's as near as I can tell from what Travis and I talked about, how when he was figuring, we can't figure, we should have milled. We should have milled the center. That's what we should have done before they ever tried to do that. And then they'd been level one amount of.
Well, they run the street over on the first time, we should have leveled them up. I mean, that takes about
Should.
70% of.
Right.
And I can't see how, and then they, the thing is, you just not watching the screws.
I understand what you're saying too, yeah.
And you run 2.5 to move, you're not
Right.
watching the screws.
I understand that too. I understand that too, and that was all figured prior to my situation, but I will say it looks nice, and it's edged. All that on the south end's edge, we're waiting on curing on substation. Hopefully all this week it'll cure out enough to where we can get on the edges and the edge yet. But just so, I just saw that they'd asked for the addition to slide the money over into bituminous from Hume Bridge to Hume Pipe. So,
Mowing River Road, right?
pardon?
You're mowing River Road.
The mowers are up there. We're on 1,300 right now. Those guys that are in the fields, we're trying to get it all cut back for them. Tuesday, tomorrow, the signs are up saying the road will be closed Tuesday through Friday. And then there's 3 tractors up and we will mow River from Attica to Tippecanoe. Also, LTAP called me and they have the count done on that road and them cars, weights, speeds, time of day, all that. We'll have that information. And they advised me, NDOT did a study from Attica to Riverside. So LTAP did it from Riverside to Tippecanoe County. So I'll have the complete thing for the community crossings program next year on River Road up there. And right now we're widening the new pipe that Campbell put in on Bone Break, bottom of the hill from Bill and Sandy Harrison's place. Filling that in, Clark Ponder wanted us to put something so people wouldn't go off the 25-foot cliff there in his pastures. So we're widening the road. We got permission on both sides, Harrison, Ponder, and we're filling in the dirt off the lot that's been stacked up there from the jail, where they took the dirt out of the jail when they scraped that and piled it over there. So we're using that as fill dirt, and hopefully that'll be done this week also. But other than that, that's
280.
280 the tree.
No, 280 is the lady down by Lake Highway.
Yeah, on the ditch. It's a deep ditch.
Well, that was on the road. She said the road was down to 1 lane because.
The whole road's 1 lane all the way through that place almost. It's where they, new construction, the guy run his pipe down, he's changed it. It's not coming there now. And we have dumped fill in that before, and it's washing again. And we haven't had any rain, so water's coming from somewhere. So we're gonna get that taken care of. Basically, I'm gonna redig the ditch out. There again, it's a right of way. How far can I go to move the ditch so I can gain the road. I mean, you know, it always back and forth, back and forth.
Well, is 280 on the east side of Lake Highway or is it on the west side?
West side,
Okay, where you come out the main entrance, where you come out.
West
the
side.
entrance.
no. Yeah, west side.
Yeah, 280 be on the west side.
Yeah, west side. Yeah, well, yeah, you kind of come out and then you got that sharp where it falls off in it. It kind of comes in and it's a curve, but it's not a curve.
Okay, is this inside of the lake? I'm surely not inside of the lake.
No, it's a county road.
Okay, well, you come out there and it's a T. I mean, you're either gonna go north or south.
Right,
So you go north and then you go back west,
go back west, yes.
now take
Yeah.
it, Kate's.
Kate's, yeah, it's right on that one. I think Klingon had that at one time, because I talked to him about drainage there 12, 13 years ago. I think Greg had,
North of there, the farm.
yeah,
Lee's
yeah,
farm.
yeah, and I think
This
it,
was a drain problem.
yes, sort of, but
I
yeah,
just didn't recall that road being that narrow. They
Right.
acted like that thing was wide as a
no.
goat path, you know, and that.
Well, to some people, they are narrow, and they, yeah. But no, we've looked at it, we've got that on tap to get it, something done with it. I may have to put a pipe in it and cover it, and run the water under, make it all road. We'll get it. All right.
Garth?
Did make it.
Yeah.
Too good up there right now. Just a few things. I did call that Aaron Frink from Mecca. He's going to offer 600 for that truck. So I think we need to, well, he first said originally 300.
It'll run.
It'll run. Well, it's dead right now. I think the battery is,
I seen somebody drove it from around there, the other side.
we moved it into the bay on Friday, got all it, stripped the rest of the stuff out of it. Once you turn it off, it dies. The battery's pretty well shot in it right now. So, but he originally was going to offer 300 for it, but he wants that motor, so he's going to give me 6 for it.
What do you think? I mean, you want to pursue it any farther? Or let him have it?
I think we need to,
Fair.
I think it's fair. I think we need to run with
Okay.
it.
I just wanted to.
Right, no, I know
I'm just
it's,
trying to think of somebody in the county, and I just
right,
couldn't,
yeah.
he handles a lot of that stuff. thought
I think most of the others that I kind of talked a little bit about weren't really interested in taking it. And he was more interested in
It does have a new set of tires on.
new set of tires. I mean, the only thing that's really bad in it is the rocker panels and obviously the PCM in it. You know, people have said that you can go to the junker and put a new PCM in it, but some of the mechanics have said you can do that, but you still got to take it to the Ford dealer to have it flashed, which that's where you're going to get, it's going to get costly. And then you take the risk if you go to the salvage yard and get one, is the one in the salvage yard good?
I don't know if Rusty had anything that he could use those tires on. I don't know what, I don't know. 17, 18.
18, I don't think you probably,
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
Be one of those little pipe trailers or something.
yeah, I mean, we could look, but
Yeah.
I don't think
If
they're
he didn't-
new, they're less than 10,000 miles on.
I'll look at it.
Yeah, it's sitting over there on the east side of the building, so. Yeah.
If that doesn't sway his offer, I mean, you know, if he takes
I-
the motor, he doesn't care about the tires.
You didn't,
Motion on that.
Do we?
Yeah.
I'll make that motion. Also.
Bring it up, all those in favor?
Those three go.
okay, I'll let Rusty look at it, see what he thinks, and if we don't, we'll just, out the door we go with it. I was planning on giving you guys quotes tonight for that, concrete pad we've been talking about. Just for you to review, no really any decision need to be made, just kind of give you an idea where we're at, but one of the quotes, the guy looked at it and, believes he did not quote it correctly. So I'm gonna wait on him to get that back to me. And so we'll have a more accurate numbers on that. Hopefully by the next meeting, I'll have that for you.
How, 30 to 30?
30 by 30, 8 inches deep, or 8 inches deep, excuse me, 8 inches deep. The one pilot said 10, but everything you read is 6 to 8. And I think 8 inches is going to be plenty thick for them to land. And I've talked to a lot of people.
If they have.
I thought.
Yeah.
Picnic.
It is picnic. It is for picnic. Yeah. So, and it includes a sidewalk, you know.
It's a big day.
Yeah, so, but I'll get that to you in the
Okay.
next one.
Okay.
The other one I was working on, I've been trying to get a hold of your son, and I know he's been pretty busy with
He
the,
called me.
did he? Okay, okay. There we are. I would try to get a hold of him to come and look at that and see. We talked earlier in the summer, and of course, with everything commotion going on, what I'm looking at is we need to get our parking lot sealed. It's,
What he said was that they would work it out to where he would come in and crack fill
okay,
and then seal it in the spring. He said, if you seal it now and you have snow, they're gonna be grinding on it. He said, why not?
Okay.
wait until- Besides, he's so busy.
that's what I figured.
But now, and I would agree with that. I would
There's
agree.
one area I'd like for him to look at, and that is the entrance into the south, number 1 door, be the west door. Obviously, there's a lot of traffic into that. I think it might be okay, but I'd really like for him to look at that and see what we need to do, if anything there. It's really wore down and it's, yeah, cupped out. So I really like for him to look at that and make sure. I hate to get in the middle of the winter and we totally lose that. If we do, I don't know. I'm not an asphalt guy, so I have no
He said
idea.
to tell our teams.
It's all right. I knew he's busy. I see him going up down 41 a lot. So.
Okay.
The only thing I have, and it's later, I don't know if you guys want to talk about it, is I've asked for some additionals. I don't know if you want to talk about now or later. It's later in the,
Go ahead, if you want to just go through. it real
Yeah.
quick.
so as I told, back in July, we hit a huge wall at our facility. I had 2 people go out on FMLA. I had 1 resign. We had a lot of positions we had to fill throughout that time. I originally worked with Brenda. We moved some money, transferred some money out of paramedic over into my vacation sick just to get me by. But to get me through to the end of the year, I'm requesting 6,000 for paramedic and 15,000 for EMT basic. Originally, I thought those numbers were going to be a little higher, but I really crunched my numbers this morning with what I've got left. And I think I'll have some money left in some other line items that I can move around, and that will help offset to where we don't have to ask for so much. And then the last one is as you know, we have been very busy. So we've been using a lot of medical supplies. So I'm requesting that $15,000 for medical supplies. And I believe with what I got left with this should get me through to the end of the year.
How's that compare to what you run last?
I think we're gonna probably, last year we finished up with over 2,500 runs. I think we're gonna be pushing 2,600 runs or more this year. Oh, dollar wise, last year I had asked for 15 and you guys bumped it to 25 on the medical supplies. I think I used almost 50 because I had 30 originally and then you guys bumped it to 25. I didn't use the full 55,000, but I think I was a little over 50, but
This year,
I think we're not quite in the big, as much as we used last year. But I can't,
well, you don't know what, you can't tell the future. but
exactly. I
you can
mean,
look right now. and-
yeah, I mean, right now with what I've got left, I think at this time last year, I was a lot less in my budget.
We put all these together, we don't need to make a motion.
I think we put them all, can we put them all together?
Yeah.
Okay.
What, all the ambulance ones, I would do all that.
No.
Yeah, they-
I'll make a motion on the.
This is 6,000, 15,000, and 15,000.
36,000.
Yes.
We got a motion.
I'll second.
Ready for the vote? All those in favor? Aye. Those 3-0.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, I'll get those. If he gives this to me, the quote to me on the concrete before then, I'll give him, put them in your mailbox, whatever, so you can review them. and if you have any questions before the next meeting, but I would like to, if we can, possibly move on it before winter gets here if we can, but I don't know. It's up to you guys. You have to decide where, obviously, the funding, all that's coming from. So,
If it's really easy, the next meeting, I mean, you increase the paramedic, we increase the EMT wages, just kind of give us an idea how you have that compared to last year.
okay, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, absolutely. You guys have anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff's not here, he wouldn't be here. Eric? Good evening, Eric.
Good evening. I don't have anything I would like to speak to you about.
You get down on.
Yes, I did. That's one thing I'll talk to him about, and a couple other things. So, but I did get down there and took some pictures.
34, they reported a salvage yard. Earhart. About the salvage yard in Park County. His son's starting to stack.
Yeah, there's several cars there.
By his house on 234.
So, and then I also went on Foster Road
Okay.
out there, so I'm gonna send a letter on that one. So, go from there, but if you have time afterwards,
Yeah,
I can catch Kent. So, you guys have anything for me? Okay.
Greg? Hi, Greg.
Hi there. You guys, I hope, got the report, final report from Roger. We've finalized pretty much everything as to what we want to do with the caps. So now it's a matter of letting,
I
yeah.
didn't forward it to him, I just
Okay.
printed it off. so.
Oh, okay. We're Daryl and Jed are done. I mean, they're cleaning up. They've got everything seeded. The borrow area is seeded. The north cell, northeast and west cell are both seeded. Grass is actually starting to come up already, even though we haven't gotten a lot of water. It'll be a waiting game now to let everything settle in and work out. And then probably come spring, they'll work on getting the ponds out and finishing the landscape around it and everything. But as far as the bidded project, that part of it is done. We still owe him. He hasn't given me a final bill yet, but we've got that. The one thing that came up, he has a job he's bidding on with a piece of equipment that will grind up trees and stuff. And so because I'd been talking to him about the perimeter, the old existing ditch and stuff needs to be cleaned up, and also down the trough there. And while we're working, we couldn't do it. The water and soil, Mr. Wolf wouldn't let us touch it. But once we got vegetation growing and everything, we might be able to do that, or we can do it. So it'll be a maintenance detail. So he's going to try to if he gets the other project and has to rent that piece of equipment, then it'll offset some of his cost. He'll give me a bid on what it'll cost to bring that over and clean that ditch area with the grinder. So that's pending. I mean, we don't know yet, but overall, everything looks great. We do have 2 C poles in the back, which we had 4. Now we've only got 2. So hopefully they will dry up with everything being sloped and packed in. But no, it looks good out there, and we've heard nothing but good from state guys that have been out and stopped by. So hopefully everything will settle down. Dave Job, who does our sampling, our water sampling, he came out and did his sampling on number 10, and he called me. He was a little confused because it was high again. And I said, it's probably going to be high because of the work we're doing, and state knows that. And why he didn't put 2 and 2 together, I don't know, but he has now. So he's writing a letter to the state to advise them. The reason that the levels are probably fluctuating is because of the work we're doing. And just to give us another couple years for everything to settle out before they start, giving us additional requirements. Because what they'll do is they'll ask us for more testing. So instead of testing every other semi-annually, they'll be quarterly. And so instead of doing that, let's wait a minute and let's see if it settles down first. So I asked him to do that. And then the meter that we have that we test for gases, we do the testing for the gases. It's acting up again, and it might have to be sent off. It does have to be calibrated. I'm holding off on that because I talked to Dave Job, since he's out there doing water samples. I asked him to give me a quote, what he charged just to do the gas sample, and we don't have to deal with our meter and leave it alone. So I'll get all that back to you guys. I just give you a heads up on that's what's happening with it. But other than that, everything looks good.
So, spring of 21.
Yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing thing, but yes, the capping part, the spring of 21, the big part, that's when it'll be quieted down. We should be to the part where it's just gonna be little things we keep up with then. We've got to keep up with the little ones. So. Okay, thank you.
Joe's not here.
Well, the only thing I have is those transfers.
Oh, okay. 21,455.59 from group health to liability insurance due to premium increases.
And what that is like the two payments that I make to Valley Insurance, but it's also the workman's comp. And I didn't allow for, that's for about $100,000 in itself. And of course, with the new jail, and then the courthouse not being covered correctly, I didn't budget enough money for 2020, but I didn't know that until April of this year. And so the renewal is in April to April.
Do we need a separate motion on the
$524.84
transfer? Can we do both?
You can probably do them both at the same time. The other one is due to the fact that they do their permits electronically online, and we never received notification that we had to pay for the permit. You know, they come and do the maintenance and the checklist and everything, but we didn't know that they were supposed to pay. So that has been rectified. So I have more than one person to get an email in my office for that notification in the future.
I make a motion, we approve the transfer of 21,455.
I'll second.
Richard, vote, all those in favor? Aye. Votes 3-0. Highway and Cume Bridge, $3,872 and $1,568. Need a motion on those?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Ready for vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Votes 3-0. Circuit Court, this is psychiatric medicals, $5,400.
She's had a lot of them pleading insanity. So I'm just saying, so originally, you know, I talked to Dudley and he was wondering if maybe we could do a transfer or something. And with Garth having all the additionals, it's really not going to take much more for the line for me to add the judges. So if the commissioners want to go ahead and approve the additional, then the council can make the final decision as far as the need of additional or possibly transfer.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Ready for the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Votes 3-0. Now we got a transfer.
No, that was or. It's
That was those two,
additional
okay,
or.
I'm sorry, I didn't read it, okay.
So I'll put that on their agenda. That will be an option for the council.
Okay, and I've been discussing with the council on getting requests. I'm sorry, getting quotes, we can send out requests, we need at least 3 on the current boilers that are in the courthouse that were put in 1983. They would be desegmented, resealed, with all new controllers, new controllers, new burner controls. I've been down with Rick. Just to get a price, as well as removing the old chimney down to 36 inches above the roof, having a cap, steel cap made, and putting new flue inside the chimney for the boilers. Just to get some quotes on them to get them buying to either do something different in the future. Like I said, something a couple of years ago, kicked around pretty hard there to do anything with this, this thing will fly on one boiler. If you got two full redundancy.
And what we got from Kent, or got from the attorney kind of an outline.
Yes, just general outline on that. And he said that he could send out the, I think it was, he did three quotes, qualified,
Three publishings or three bids?
three requests for quotes. I just thought that's what he said. Yes, sir.
Well, since these guys came tonight, is this gonna, are we getting ahead of ourselves? I mean, I know that this is a repair, but we need to.
Like I said, it's just to get some bids on whether you go through with them or not. That's up to you.
This is just to find out how much it's gonna cost you.
Yes,
Put in leak or whatever.
Yes.
The leak and.
Yes.
And this would compare us to the quote with these guys. I mean, we could see how much, if we go this way, it's gonna cost us this much, or if we go this way, it's gonna cost us this.
Now, we kind of know they're rough now.
yeah.
But I don't think you're not comparing apples to apples.
No.
No, I understand that.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we're keeping what we have,
Just,
Or-
yeah,
or we're doing all new.
yeah,
I mean,
just look at the big picture.
And I went back and looked, I don't mean to interrupt, but that date that I had on your boiler inspection reports down there, it actually has year built, and it has 2003. So that was where I got the 2003. So,
Yeah.
so I'm your boiler inspector, he must have
Yeah.
did something wrong
Yeah.
on there, right? So that's where I came up with the 2003. So I.
He was there when they took
I was
the-
wrong on that, so.
Drop them out and put them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna argue with the guy who put them in.
Yeah.
right?
Well, no, I was just the guy that hooked the.
Maybe you're younger than you think.
Yeah.
All right, Greg, I yield to you on just get the quotes on.
Okay.
Put back together or whatever, just so we.
The more the merrier, just get more figures.
And you can get a motion on this, do we? On the-
Want to request quotes? Yeah,
We do need a motion to request.
yeah, to publish it.
Okay.
They put it in there for that, yeah.
Ready for the vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Votes 3-0. I believe so. Penny, you have something?
I just like to know whether the county, if you guys want to locate the speed limits on the Allen Road. I was here at the last meeting.
You were here.
I've got a whole packet of county adopted speed limits.
Yeah,
And I found out the town of Rockroy, they're 20 mile an hour on.
okay, now she's not near Rob Roy.
I know
Yeah.
that, but
Rob Roy,
40,
Stone Bluff.
20, 30,
Yeah.
yeah. But the county road is 40 mile an hour. Any county road,
County Road.
gravel. Any gravel road is 40 mile an hour. That was brought to me by the sheriff.
There's been 1 death, 10 accidents reported and unreported. How many more accidents? How many more deaths do you want? What's it done?
I know.
There was a speed limit put up, but I guess we have to have your permission.
And Penny, just because of signs, but, about.
At least there's
Law
been,
enforcement sitting out there 24/7, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, I mean.
Sign.
At 40 miles.
exactly, but the thing is, it happens on a daily basis, 20 times a day. People going up and down, 50, 70 mile an hour, okay? I'm guessing, I don't have a radar thing, but I'm guessing. I 10 accidents reported and unreported. I'm one of them for going too fast. It's easy to wreck on that road. I'm saying for safety, for people, okay, safety, number 1.
What do you think it should be?
20. I think it should be 20. Hey, and if a bunch of speeders come back, okay, all I have to do is call the dispatch, right? We have a law enforcement. It isn't life important.
I think the last meeting we discussed 35, I think, it was a number that came to my mind.
Go down that road.
But,
You've been down that
Still need an
road.
ordinance passed. I mean, you'll still have.
There's already 120 mile an hour, he's already put up. The other one was taken out by the neighbor, and why they didn't get arrested for
But
it,
there is no ordinance saying 20 mile an hour.
we
in
need
that
an
area.
ordinance.
It's
Yeah.
40.
Right, I understand that.
Okay.
so it wouldn't hold up court, is what you're saying. if somebody wanted to.
Yeah, but how,
But if
I
you
mean,
give it
if
ordinance,
somebody wanted to push that, how
Yeah.
many people count as being?
Yeah.
then how do you get the ordinance? I thought by coming here and getting your guys' votes or whatever. I
We
thought
can't
that-
hardly do one road. I mean, that opens up the door for everybody else with a gravel road, then widen their road 20 miles an hour.
Warren County does it, they got 20 mph on some of their roads,
On gravel roads?
on gravel and blacktop in Warren County. I was just there on the weekend. In, Park County. Go to the back roads, 20 mile an hour. Not all of them is posted, but what is wrong?
I've
I've
driven
got-
down most of those roads, and I don't ever remember seeing anything in the country. One,
If you go on
maybe
the
two little
detour-
villages.
If you go 41, take the detour to Rockville, you'll see them. And there's even people that's got their own personal,
See those?
sign saying drive like your kid lives here.
Right, and that's
I
fine,
mean-
they can have those, and that's right, they should.
I mean, I got signs out
I
there
get
too,
it.
most people do respect it. Okay, I'll give you that, but then there's other people want to show their ass
Right.
or be stupid. I couldn't even take a freaking walk down the road for fear of being run over because they want to come this close to you. It's getting ridiculous out there.
No, you did, I agree with that. I do agree with it. My son and daughter live on Corporation Line Road, right in the narrowest part of the stretch, and they walk it every morning and every evening. And I told them, I just see you die of a bad heart from overweight than have to get hit by a car, but I don't agree that a 20 mile an hour sign is gonna take care of this situation.
Why not?
Because without someone out there enforcing it, and the sheriff's department can't be out there 24/7.
They can't be, no, but I can let them know.
And if they're doing what you say they're doing, if they're doing 60 and a 40, well, then the sheriff's department comes out there and sets every now and then and tags one of them. It's no different than if they get them, the 20, then 30 and 20. I mean, the police presence might help a little bit, but ultimately signs aren't going to cure your problem any. They're just not. These people are going to drive like they're going to drive no matter what. I mean,
But like right now, there is no legal, sign, there's nothing
There's
legal
no-
there.
so we put
Okay,
some 40
but if we
mile an hour
had-
signs out there.
If we had an ordinance for that speed limit sign, at least it would save a wreck or a life, possibly. Some people do obey the law, some people don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
Yeah.
Rusty could put a 40 mile an hour sign out there.
If I can
No.
go 40 there, yeah, no problem.
That's what it is.
40 is way too fast, telling you.
Let's start somewhere.
Well,
I
that
think we
gives,
have an
that gives the
ordinance for it
deputies, and they have the authority anyhow.
I think we
It's
have it for
40
the
is
gravel
whether it's
roads,
posted or not,
40.
that's what it is.
40 on the gravel.
All right, well,
The deputies can arrest, say they're doing 50, well, it's already automatic whether there's a sign there or not, it's 40 mile an hour on all gravel roads in Fountain County. A deputy can enforce that without a sign.
then why did 2 officers tell me that 55 was the speed limit on all county roads?
They were incorrect.
Pardon me?
They were incorrect.
Incorrect.
Incorrect. I mean, I'm just going by what I'm hearing, and that's not true. Double nickel's not right.
And a lot of times, I know they seem like they're, and I know they blow by there. I absolutely know there are people drive 60, 70 mile an hour by your house. But even 40, when you're standing still and watching somebody blow by on a gravel road, it seems like it's really fast. But, I've been a police officer, I ran a radar. And, it looks like people are going a lot quicker than they are. But I'd say that more than anything, go down and talk to Sheriff Holt and just ask him to have a deputy come out there.
They ain't gonna happen.
A week.
I've already did all that. Last time I called the dispatcher, she told me to call the county. When I called the county, actually, it was before we knew what the law was. We had no right to put that speed limit sign until we got you guys ordinance. At least we got, like a 50-50 chance on maybe people slowing down and maybe not wrecking, maybe not dying. I mean,
Maybe if we put some 40 mile an hours out there on both ends of it or something.
You can get with Rusty on that.
Hell,
40 is not gonna
You
change
got anything?
anything.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
So, you guys,
maybe the deputy would know that what's speaking of this.
They don't waste their goddamn time coming out there. They're tired of me.
What's that?
They don't care about life and growth.
did you say anything about vote center?
Oh,
That's all.
yeah, before we get that, vote center information, October 1st, testing at 11 o'clock. This is a public test to get the early voting center open.
Right.
And October, it'll be October 6th through the 30th, is that correct?
October first, I think, is the testing
That's
for
a
the
test,
public.
11 o'clock. October 6th to October
So if
30th.
anybody wants a copy of that, I can make a copy of it.
Early voting.
Early voting.
From Paula.
What are we doing? Are we saying we can have early voting? What are we
Yeah.
doing?
You got
He
it.
was just, she just wanted it
She just
mentioned
wanted
at the meeting.
Oh, okay, she doesn't, okay.
No, she
There's
doesn't
gonna be
need
a
it.
test October 1st at 11 o'clock, it's a public test.
Do we have to get a good grade on the test?
Yeah. 60% of that.
We might.
Yeah.
Okay, also on that, you reminded me that someone called me on political signs on the courthouse lawn for early voting, and I said, I don't think we've ever, in my 6 years, or I never, ever remember seeing political
Yeah,
signs
we did.
on the courthouse.
Oh,
lawn.
yeah,
Really?
right out here on the corner, right out
We had
here.
to poll
Dan
them,
Young,
poll
Yeah, but did he pull them?
somebody told him.
them. They were told,
Is it a state statute or anything? You can't use.
I don't know, I haven't looked. I can tell you in Boone County, the whole courthouse lawn will just be littered with them.
During.
Oh, yeah, you
During
won't be able to
early
get across the grass. There's just stuff everywhere.
voting.
Well, I don't know if it's early voting, but I know there's a point where they're just covered with them. I've never ever had any of that issues like.
Yeah. Yeah, we did have that.
Well, yeah,
That's
that's
all
what I
I,
about before next meeting.
that's all I ever saw.
Rick would flip out.
Yeah, I would say no. I
Well,
would
it's
say
a
no.
pain, yeah. Mowing around and picking them up all the
No.
time.
I mean, we try to keep it to where people actually ask to put some
Right,
of the
yes,
other
and the
signs
people
out
do
there.
that.
Fish fry, tri-kappa.
Organization put signs
Graduation.
up, I said, Jeff, they have to get the fish.
You'd have to change the speed limit, so we'll get it down to 35.
Yeah. Good at that pilot, absolutely. All right.
I got it 35.
Well, this time, I believe that's it.